Good morning and welcome to Introductory Logic Lesson 7. We are again in formal logic rather than informal logic. The last lesson we talked about statements, and remember, a statement is a sentence that has a truth value. So it can be either true or false. Commands, questions, and nonsense are not statements. And so we are going to talk about different types of statements. We have self-supporting statements and supported statements. And how you tell the difference between these two is by the means of which they are supported. Today, we're going to talk about self-supporting statements. And in the next lesson, we're going to talk about supported statements. All right, so self-supporting statements, as the name states, are statements that are supported within itself. So they have a truth value determined from the statement itself, and no outside information is needed in order to determine if it's true or false. There are three different types of statements that are considered self-supporting statements. And the first one is called a self-report. Now, a self-report is a statement by a person concerning their own thoughts, beliefs, and desires. So this is referring to the speaker, and these can be always taken as true because you can pretty much trust that what the person is saying, they think, believe, or want, etc., is true. For example, I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. This is true. It's a self-report because it starts with I believe. Other ways of saying this: I feel, I think, I want. Along those lines is how a self-report would start. Now, it's important to also consider that even an atheist would be able to say that this statement is true. So whether you believe that Jesus is the Son of God or not, you would still be able to acknowledge that that statement is true because it's the speaker saying, I believe Jesus is the Son of God. So self-reports are always taken to be true. The second type of statement that is a self-supporting statement are statements that are true or false by logical structure. So logical structure. This has to do with how the sentence is put together. Now, there are two different types of statements that are true or false by logical structure. The first is called tautology. Tautology is a statement that is always true by logical structure. So, for example, Jesus is the Son of God, or he is not the Son of God. Now, this covers all possibilities because if you notice, it says is or is not. And if you also notice, we have the same subject there. Jesus is or Jesus is not. Jesus is the Son of God or Jesus is not the Son of God. Nothing changed within the sentence. Like, it has the same subject and it has the same predicate, and it says he is or is not. Or is the important word there. This can be represented by P or not P. I'm just going to show you tautology right here first. All right, tautology, always true by logical structure, and it can be written P or not P. Now, the other one underneath statements that are self-supporting by logical structure is self-contradiction. So tautology is always true because of its logical structure. A self-contradiction is always false because of its logical structure. This would be an example. Jesus is the Son of God and Jesus is not the Son of God. So if you can notice that word and there, it says is and is not. This is a contradiction. It actually breaks one of the rules of thought. If you watch the introductory video where we talked about before we can even get into reasoning well, there has to be some rules of thought that are the groundwork that everyone abides by and everybody follows and understands. I'm going to flip back to that real quick because this one breaks the law of contradiction. Let me put a bookmark here really quick. Okay, so just to recover the laws of thought. Remember, the first law of thought is the law of excluded middle. A statement is either true or false. There's no middle ground. You can't say, well, maybe, we can't really know. Nope, it's either true or false. The second law is the law of identity, and that states that if a statement is true, it is true everywhere for everyone. It cannot be, well, it's true for you, but it's not true for me. No, it's either true or it's false for everyone, everywhere. And if it's true, it's true. The third is the law that is broken here in this self-contradiction statement. It is the law of non-contradiction. A statement cannot be true and false. This would be like it's true, but it's also false, which is what we see here in this self-contradiction when you say Jesus is the Son of God and Jesus is not the Son of God. It's true, and it's part of it would have to be true and part of it would have to be false. This is a contradiction. So I'm going to show you, let me see here. Okay, so I've got this up here on, there we go. Okay, so to recap, the tautology, and these are both statements that are true or false by logical structure of the sentence, how the sentence is put together. Excuse me. So a tautology is always true by logical structure. A self-contradiction is always false by logical structure. A tautology can be noted like this, P or not P. And the self-contradiction is P and not P. The distinguishing word there are or and and. And also please notice that the P stays the same. So the left side has to stay the same as the right side of this sentence. You could not say that, like you couldn't say my dog is black and fat. I mean, you're talking about the dog, but it's two different descriptors there, black and fat. How to use this rule, and an example for that would be my dog is black or my dog is not black. That would be a tautology. A self-contradiction way of saying that would be my dog is black and my dog is not black. Using the same words, it has to be the same on the left and the right. So those are examples of statements that are self-supporting by logical structure. The third statement that is a self-supporting statement, meaning all the information you need is within itself. You don't need any outside information. The third one is statements that are true or false by definition. This would be true when statements are the definition. For example, all triangles are three-sided figures. That is the definition of a triangle, and it's true because it's the definition of a triangle. And these statements would be false when the statement contradicts the definition of the term. For example, this triangle is an octagon. So the definition contradicts, or this statement contradicts the definition of both triangle and octagon, because a triangle is a three-sided figure and an octagon is an eight-sided figure. So those break the rule because it contradicts the definition. So that's it. Again, very short lesson for this one. These are the self-supporting statements that allow you to determine whether a statement is true or false just by the sentence itself, just by the statement itself. You don't need anything outside of it. Again, to recap, there's three of them. The first one is a self-report, which is someone is stating what they believe, want, or think, or feel. And these are always true. The second one are statements that are true or false by logical structure, which is 1, tautology, which would be always true because of its structure, and 2, self-contradiction, that are always false because of its structure. And the third, statements that are true or false by definition. They're always true if it follows the definition, and they're always false if they contradict the definition. That is it. That is lesson 7, and see you later for lesson 8.